Hideyoshi Zankichi, an ordinary student constantly haunted by feelings of inferiority, is once again drawn into the world of Medaka Kurokami when he is asked to help the student council, an assembly of people who are anything but normal. From his perspective, Zankichi must struggle to survive amid a storm of ambition, extreme power, and absurd personalities, all while questioning his own worth in the face of Medaka's perfection. This story becomes Zankichi's inner journey, a tale of the courage to confront one's inadequacies and the determination to keep standing beside someone who is too perfect for an unfair world. Medaka was inaugurated as the 98th Student Council President of Hakoniwa High School. During the inauguration ceremony, she delivered a speech in front of all Hakoniwa High School students. In her address, she asked every student to freely share their opinions by submitting them through the suggestion box, encouraging them to write down any problems they were facing. Medaka also promised that she would respond to student concerns at any time throughout the year. She showed complete dedication to her role as student council president of Hakoniwa High School. A student named Han Sode admitted that he was impressed by Medaka's confident attitude during the speech, noting that she clearly seemed accustomed to speaking in front of large crowds. According to Zankichi, Medaka appeared more suited to standing above everyone rather than merely standing in front of them. As widely known, Medaka had won the election with 98% of the votes, leaving no doubt that she was the number one Sasae Izagi. Han Sode then wondered what Zankichi planned to do next and asked whether he would still join the student council. Zankichi refused, explaining that he did not want to be used by Medaka. Suddenly, Medaka forcefully grabbed Zankichi and pulled him away, leaving him completely startled. Habataki was confused by Zankichi's sudden disappearance. Hansode explained that Zankichi was currently with the student council president, which made Habataki curious about the true nature of the relationship between Medaka and Zankichi. Hansode described them as childhood friends who shared a strong and somewhat unhealthy bond. At the same time, Zankichi was with Medaka in the student council room. He questioned why Medaka did not approach him in a more normal way when asking him to come along. Medaka's behavior stemmed from Zankichi repeatedly rejecting her requests in the past. Zankichi admitted that he did not want to be involved in the heavy responsibilities Medaka carried, believing that she never truly considered his feelings or his position. He confessed that he had reached his limit and felt certain that Medaka could handle everything on her own. Medaka then acted in a way that deeply unsettled Zankichi by suddenly invading his personal space and behaving far more intimately than the situation required. She showed no sense of embarrassment, as she viewed their long-standing familiarity as justification. Medaka expressed her desire to always have Zankichi by her side, emphasizing that she relied on him more than anyone else. Medaka then shifted the conversation to the suggestion box, explaining her intention to resolve every problem submitted by the students. She took one letter from the box, which described concerns about the Kendo Hall being occupied by delinquent third-year students. The writer of the suggestion urged the student council to remove them as soon as possible. The Kendo Hall was one of the school's important facilities, a building filled with tradition and history. It had remained in use until the previous year, but the Kendo Club had been disbanded due to a lack of members. As a result, the hall had been left neglected and was now being used by third-year delinquents. Medaka and Zankichi immediately headed to the Kendo Hall, where they encountered a group of third-year delinquents. Medaka explained that she had come in response to a complaint submitted through the suggestion box. The leader of the delinquents, Mahibi, threatened Medaka by pointing a bamboo sword toward her. He showed no concern for Medaka's overwhelming 98% support from the student body, claiming that the remaining 2% belonged to his group. Mahibi was shocked when Medaka effortlessly seized the bamboo sword before he could even perceive her movement. Zankichi recognized the technique Medaka used as a disarming maneuver that was not meant to be used lightly. Frustrated, Mahibi ordered his followers to surround Medaka and Zankichi. Medaka calmly pointed out the numerous rule violations committed by the third-year delinquents, including inappropriate uniforms, excessive accessories, and dyed hair. With astonishing speed, she managed to confiscate all the cigarettes hidden in their pockets. Medaka advised them to quit smoking for the sake of their health. The delinquents were stunned by the speed of her movements, to the point that they believed she was using ninja techniques. In reality, Medaka was not using any special tricks, but rather advanced kendo footwork involving precise entry and retreat movements. At Medaka's level, these techniques appeared almost invisible to untrained eyes. Medaka reprimanded the delinquents for disrespecting and damaging school property. They reacted with resentment, unwilling to accept guidance from her. Medaka then described the delinquents as deeply pitiful, stating that they had tarnished the passion once held by true club members. She concluded that there was a logical explanation behind the unfortunate path they were heading toward, a path filled with misdirection and poor choices. Faced with Medaka's overwhelming presence, the delinquents began to feel insignificant. They admitted that they were nothing more than ordinary troublemakers who played around with wooden swords. The ability Medaka demonstrated at that moment was her talent for overwhelming those she perceived as morally and mentally weaker. She speculated that the third-year delinquents may have been neglected by their parents, failed to find proper guidance from a mentor, or been betrayed by friends in the past. Medaka reassured them that they did not need to worry, as she intended to rehabilitate all of them. She promised to train and guide them onto the true path of the sword. As part of her rehabilitation plan, Medaka subjected them to an intense and demanding training regimen consisting of 1,000 basic strikes. The third-year delinquents were completely unable to resist her authority or skill. After that, Zenkichi had lunch with Hansode in the cafeteria. Hansode felt curious about what was really going on in Zenkichi's head. She wondered why Zenkichi always seemed to get pulled into Medaka's world. Zenkichi explained that Medaka had always been unusual since they were little. He believed that Medaka did not realize that she stood far above everyone else, and because of that, she naturally ended up pushing the people around her to become just as capable as she was. Zenkichi felt sure that Medaka would never fully understand the feelings of people who genuinely tried their best but still failed, or the feelings of someone who felt sad without a clear reason. He was also convinced that the third-year delinquents would not return to the Kendo Hall after what they had gone through with Medaka. Hansode laughed after hearing this. In her view, even though Zenkichi and Medaka had been close for a long time, she believed that Zenkichi did not actually understand Medaka as well as he thought he did. She felt that if Medaka were that easy to understand, then Zenkichi would not have ended up dealing with so many problems. Zenkichi realized that if things did not come to an end soon, he might find himself in serious trouble. Hansode also informed him about the student council position elections that would take place after school. If all the student council positions were filled, then Medaka would no longer be able to pressure Zenkichi to get involved. Meanwhile, Zenkichi remained irritated by Hansode's comment that he did not understand Medaka. He felt that this was unfair since he had been with Medaka since the age of 2, which meant he should understand her better than anyone else. When he entered the Kendo Hall, Zenkichi was shocked to find the place clean and neatly organized. Medaka scolded him for arriving late, as she had been waiting for the third-year delinquents who were also supposed to come for practice. Zenkichi was certain that those delinquents would not show up. He believed they would never open their hearts to Medaka, even though she had cleaned the place, especially since they did not even know her personally. Medaka firmly stated that she was born to help people she did not know, and that she felt at ease once she had done something for others. Zenkichi remarked that if he had been blessed with talents like Medaka's, he might have chosen to live his life the same way. Still, he believed that someday Medaka would suffer if she continued like this, especially because those delinquents were not people who had chosen her, and they were only a small remainder of the student body. Medaka corrected him by saying that they were not a mere percentage, but 8 individuals. She admonished Zenkichi for comparing human beings to numbers or statistics. She then identified them as Mahibi, Hyusei, Mokyu, Mary, Seijaku, Nangi, Zen, and Konki. Medaka did not view those delinquents as outsiders to their school. Zenkichi, however, did not care and immediately left the Kendo Hall. Suddenly, he was taken aback when he saw the third-year delinquents arriving at the Kendo Hall after all. Mahibi stated that even if they were looked down upon by others, they were at least trying to improve themselves and no longer wanted to be seen as worthless. They made it clear to Medaka that they would not give up in the face of her challenge. Medaka acknowledged that she had accepted challenges from others before, and she expressed her intention to begin 10,000 Kendo sword swings together with the third-year delinquents. After school, Zenkichi kept thinking that it seemed impossible for Medaka to need him again, since she always stood at the very top among everyone else. Medaka's extraordinary abilities and the way she lived her life were beyond doubt. Whether people felt envy or admiration toward her, in the end, everyone wanted to become like Medaka. Zenkichi believed that Medaka would continue forward without hatred, no matter how many painful difficulties she faced. Not long after, Zenkichi was unexpectedly struck from behind, which caused him to lose consciousness for a moment. The person responsible was Habataki, who felt confused and frustrated. He had previously asked the student council members to drive the delinquents away, yet instead, the situation had been treated as if it were merely a minor issue that needed cleaning up. Earlier that day, Medaka had been walking toward the student council room to attend a meeting for accepting new student council members. Hansode walked beside her and remarked that it seemed Zenkichi had no interest in joining the student council. Medaka asked whether Hansode was worried about him. Hansode denied it, saying that she knew exactly how capable Medaka was. She was simply curious about who had actually written the complaint regarding the Kendo Hall. Medaka stated that she did not know and did not wish to know. Hansode suspected that Habataki was the one who had submitted the complaint, as she believed he had a bad reputation and a history of problematic behavior during middle school. Unfortunately, Medaka did not pay any attention to that suspicion at all. Meanwhile, Habataki had already taken care of the troublemakers in the kendo hall, leaving Mahibi wondering who Habataki really was. Habataki introduced himself as a serious first-year student who genuinely practiced kendo. He admitted that he was not used to hierarchies or group dynamics. He also explained that he often clashed with seniors or supervising teachers in the past, which usually ended badly, and that was the reason he deliberately chose that school, so he could remain a solo kendo member. He openly stated that he did not like Mahibi and the others being in the kendo hall. Earlier, Mahibi had questioned Medaka about her goal in becoming the student council president. To him, Medaka did not seem like the typical type to hold that position. However, Medaka only wanted to keep looking far ahead into the future. At that moment, Eri had already begun to notice the hard work and dedication shown by Mahibi and the others. Mahibi then stood up and pushed Habataki, unable to accept the way Habataki spoke so carelessly. Mahibi recalled his own childhood as a kendo student, and the memories were not his alone. The others felt the same way, as they had all once dreamed of becoming skilled swordsmen. Habataki arrogantly dismissed them as failures. He prepared to make another move toward them, but Zenkichi suddenly arrived and stopped Habataki's kendo strike. Habataki accused Zenkichi of being in league with Medaka, but Zenkichi denied it. He explained that he had actually planned to let Habataki leave after dealing with the third-year delinquents. Habataki demanded that Zenkichi stop interfering, believing that his own actions were justified. Zenkichi acknowledged that Habataki had done something right, but he believed Medaka had acted even more rightly. Zenkichi was deeply convinced of this because, since the age of 2, he had already seen Medaka's strong sense of justice. He understood Medaka better than anyone else, even when her actions seemed irrational or beyond common sense. Zenkichi fully understood Medaka's noble nature and her desire to help others. He made it clear that he would not forgive anyone who refused to support Medaka's sense of justice. Habataki paid no attention to what Zenkichi said and prepared to attack him. However, Zenkichi moved quickly and struck Habataki, sending him flying and crashing to the ground. The confrontation ended with Habataki realizing just how tough Zenkichi really was. That afternoon, Habataki acknowledged Zenkichi's strength and initially intended to retaliate harshly. At that moment, Medaka appeared behind him and called him out. Habataki was shocked and broke down in tears, believing that Medaka should have been attending a student council meeting. Medaka explained that she had already arranged for Hansode to lead the meeting in her place. Medaka suspected that Zenkichi had already delivered enough consequences to Habataki. She expressed her gratitude, knowing that Zenkichi was the only one who consistently worried about her. Habataki felt as though Medaka was toying with him. Medaka then showed him a letter she had taken from the suggestion box. The letter contained a request from a student asking the student council to correct a classmate with a bad attitude. Habataki immediately realized that Hansode must have written it. Medaka stated that Habataki had been led astray because he lacked love and support. She then gave Habataki a firm punishment to ensure he would reflect on his actions. After the incident, Mahibi and the others resumed practicing kendo together, with the club now operating under Habataki's guidance. Medaka placed flowers as decorations after successfully resolving the student issue. Zenkichi was surprised to see that Medaka also had a gentle, feminine side. Medaka confidently believed that she would never fail, as she always trusted that her room would be filled with flowers. Zenkichi asked whether Medaka could truly manage everything, especially since she had failed to recruit new student council members after leaving the meeting the day before. Medaka brushed it off, explaining that she only wanted to do everything together with Zenkichi. Zenkichi was puzzled by why Medaka always wanted him by her side, considering that he was merely her childhood friend and that others might see him as an outsider. Medaka believed that Zenkichi understood her better than anyone else, and the feeling was mutual. More than that, Zenkichi had been the only one who continued to worry about her from the time she was 2 years old until now. Medaka was convinced that she could help others as long as Zenkichi stayed beside her. Hearing this, Zenkichi asked to join the student council as a member. Nervously but sincerely, he stated that he would help turn the school into a field of flowers by continuing to dedicate himself to supporting the students. Medaka felt genuinely happy that Zenkichi finally accepted the role and thanked him by hugging him tightly. Zenkichi was startled by how affectionate Medaka could be, but he resolved to stay by her side because he truly loved her. Medaka then assigned Zenkichi the position of general assistant, the lowest rank in the student council, and encouraged him to work hard to rise through the ranks. It had already been a week since Zenkichi volunteered to become a member of the student council, yet he still did not feel confident wearing the student council uniform. Zenkichi felt out of place in dark-colored clothing, even though he had deliberately chosen to enroll at Hakoniwa High School. Medaka, on the other hand, thought that Zenkichi actually looked good in darker outfits. Zenkichi was startled when he noticed Medaka suddenly standing behind him. Medaka suggested that he wear a jacket underneath his blazer. Zenkichi followed her suggestion, and it turned out that the jacket really did make him look cooler. Medaka then reminded Zenkichi that his responsibility was to check the suggestion box. That task was considered a top priority for the student council, so Medaka told him not to slack off. One of the requests was signed, and the name written on it was Aria from class 2 to 9. Aria later came to the student council room to meet Medaka. She admitted that she was not sure whether her problem was something that needed to be brought to the student council. Medaka reassured her not to feel hesitant, since she accepted requests from anyone. Zenkichi felt confused seeing Medaka speak so casually to an upperclassman. Aria, meanwhile, was puzzled by Zenkichi wearing a jacket underneath his blazer. Aria explained that she had received a letter demanding that she leave the track and field club, and on top of that, her running shoes had been damaged. She said that she had been selected to represent the school in an upcoming track competition, something that rarely happened for second-year students. She had been extremely happy about it, but 3 days earlier she discovered her damaged shoes along with that letter. Zenkichi asked whether there was anyone Aria suspected. Aria admitted that she did not know, since she kept her shoes in a locker, and anyone could have done it. She also felt that everyone seemed suspicious. Competition for a spot on Hakoniwa High School's main team was incredibly intense, so it was not surprising if others held resentment toward her after she was chosen. Aria had prepared herself mentally for possible backlash, but she never expected it to go that far. She said she could not report it to the coach, and she could not continue training alongside someone who treated her that way. She felt unable to trust anyone. Overwhelmed by stress, Aria broke down and confessed that she had been unable to sleep at night. Medaka told Aria to calm down and promised that she would help bring the situation to an end. She assured Aria that she would uncover who was responsible. Zenkichi never imagined that sports clubs could have such a dark side. From the fact that the trouble involved members of the main team, Medaka concluded that the culprit was most likely a female student. She believed the person had been in the track club for a long time, was talented at running, was a fan of a famous running shoe brand, was left-handed, regularly read the Fuguruma newspaper, and lived in Block 23. Zenkichi was stunned by how specific her deductions were. Medaka explained that the shoes had been damaged with scissors and done carefully, without leaving even a scratch on the logo. From that, she concluded that the culprit liked the shoe brand. The cuts were made with the left hand, and there was also a clipped line from the Fuguruma newspaper attached to the back of the letter. When Zenkichi asked how Medaka knew the culprit lived in Block 23, she explained that newspapers sometimes varied by distribution area depending on the printing day. The newspaper used for the note was from Week 14's edition, which was distributed specifically in Block 23. Zenkichi realized just how unsettling Medaka's deductive skills could be. Medaka deeply despised anyone who sabotaged another person's hard work, and she was clearly on the verge of anger, ready to take action herself. After that, Zenkichi told Hansode about everything, and the two of them decided to look for the culprit. Hansade revealed that she suspected Isagi, a third-year student and a member of the track club. Isagi specialized in running just like Aria, was left-handed, and wore the same brand of running shoes that had been damaged. Hansode also knew that Isagi's family had subscribed to the Fuguruma newspaper for 3 years and that Isagi lived in Block 23. Hearing all of this, Zenkichi was completely bewildered by how Hansode managed to gather such detailed information. Hansade simply told him that he did not need to know. Hansode also knew that Isagi had failed to secure a spot on the main team after Aria was selected. Zenkichi suspected that Isagi might have acted out because her pride as a senior had been hurt when she was replaced by a junior. Medaka believed that they should not label someone as a wrongdoer without solid evidence. Zenkichi admired Medaka's strong ideals, though he felt that collecting more evidence was unnecessary. At the same time, he knew they could not confront Isagi indirectly forever. Unexpectedly, Medaka went straight to Isagi and asked whether she was responsible for damaging the running shoes. Isagi was shocked and immediately ran away. Zenkichi hurried after her, but at that very moment, Hansode suddenly asked why he was wearing a jacket underneath his blazer. Meanwhile, Isagi felt panicked and kept running at full speed. She could not understand how Medaka had figured things out so quickly. To her surprise, Medaka began closing the distance. Isagi's face was filled with anxiety as she explained that she could run 100 meters in 12 seconds. Medaka calmly responded that her own average time for the same distance was 11 seconds. Isagi had no idea what to do and even climbed a fence to escape Medaka's pursuit. Isagi knew that Medaka was the new student council president at Hakoniwa High School, someone rumored to have corrected the behavior of delinquent members in the Kendo Club almost immediately after taking office. Isagi was terrified, convinced that if Medaka ever discovered the full truth, the consequences would be extremely severe for her. Medaka then leaped into the air to surpass Isagi's running speed, and before long, she landed directly in front of Isagi. Medaka once again asked whether Isagi was truly responsible. Isagi denied it, saying that she had not damaged Aria's shoes with scissors and had not written a letter telling Aria to leave. Without realizing it, Isagi ended up revealing everything herself. Suddenly, Isagi nearly lost her balance, and Medaka immediately caught her. Medaka apologized for interrupting Isagi's training and said she was sure Isagi practiced seriously every day, since her running speed had been impressive. Medaka admitted that she admired people who were willing to work hard. Isagi was still confused by Medaka's attitude and wondered if Medaka simply did not know how to accuse someone properly. Zenkichi explained that it was not that Medaka did not understand how to accuse others, but that she understood how to trust people instead. Isagi then wondered why Zenkichi was wearing a jacket underneath his school blazer. Zenkichi was surprised by the reaction, since he had hoped it would make him look cool. Zenkichi reflected that during middle school, his role had been to deal with problems that could not be resolved through normal means, but in high school, his duties were limited to managing the suggestion box. This time, he chose to do what Medaka asked and decided to trust that Isagi would not repeat her mistake. After that, Isagi quietly reflected on her own actions. Zenkichi could not understand why no one praised his stylish appearance. Aria suddenly appeared and startled him, then told him that his look was cool and unique. Aria explained that her shoes had disappeared from her locker, but in their place she had found an apology letter along with a new pair of running shoes. With the issue resolved, Zenkichi thought Medaka would finally be able to rest easy. Unexpectedly, Medaka was still concerned about the person who had taken Aria's damaged shoes. Zenkichi was shocked that even a genius like Medaka could sometimes overlook simple things. The suggestion box introduced by the new student council president at Hakoniwa High School soon became known as the Medaka box and quickly received positive responses. That day, Zenkichi found 3 requests inside. He realized just how many people at the school were dealing with problems, and this time the requests seemed stranger than usual. Zenkichi immediately went to Medaka and reported that the requests included a complaint from the basketball team about their club room, a proposal to create a new lunch menu, and a request to find a missing dog. Medaka was especially interested in the request about the dog. It seemed that the writer of the letter had been separated from their pet somewhere on campus during winter break. Medaka immediately assigned Zenkichi the task of finding the dog. She did not join him, since she could not handle being around animals. Zenkichi eventually asked Hansode to help. Hansode was surprised to learn that the seemingly perfect Medaka also had a weakness. Zenkichi explained that during grade school, Medaka had experienced something that left her uncomfortable with caring for animals, which was why Zenkichi would step in whenever she could not. Zenkichi was full of enthusiasm about finding the dog, but Hansode commented that his excitement looked unpleasant rather than admirable. Before long, they found the dog, although it looked quite intimidating. Its fur matched the picture shown in the letter. Zenkichi was confused, since the image had made it look like a cute dog separated from its owner, and he had imagined it belonging to a wealthy family or being some kind of protected animal. Hansode explained that the Borzoi was a respected breed, also known as the Russian Wolfhound. Zenkichi asked Hansode to help him approach the dog, but she refused, saying she preferred to watch from a safe distance. She even planned to take photos of Zenkichi's bravery. Soon, the dog barked after being disturbed from its sleep. Hansode casually suggested that the barking meant the dog wanted to play. Zenkichi did not believe that interpretation, knowing the dog was simply annoyed at being awakened. Hansode encouraged Zenkichi by saying this was his chance to show his courage in front of Medaka. Fired up, Zenkichi prepared to catch the dog. Hansode handed him a sausage. Zenkichi assumed it was meant to lure the dog, but Hansode jokingly suggested he place it on his stomach and pretend he was injured. Even Zenkichi could tell that following such advice would only make the situation worse, so he decided to rely on his own common sense instead. Zenkichi immediately ran toward the dog while holding a sausage. The dog opened its eyes and suddenly turned around, chasing after him. Zenkichi ran as fast as he could to save himself, but the dog managed to catch him. Meanwhile, Hansode was calmly recording the frightening incident instead of helping. After that, Zenkichi reported to Medaka that he and Hansode had managed to locate the target but failed to capture it. It turned out that after disappearing for 6 months, the puppy had grown into an extremely aggressive dog. Zenkichi admitted that he had already met the dog's owner, Urushi, from the 3rd year of high school, but explaining the situation to her was not easy. Zenkichi later learned that Borzoi in Russian refers to a clever breed that was originally used as a hunting dog. Only then did he realize why he had failed to catch it. He admitted that he would not give up just because he failed on the first attempt, and he planned to take further action together with Hansode. Medaka was confused about why Hansode had to be involved. According to Zenkichi, Hansode might not be happy about going along with him, but he believed she would cooperate if he pushed her a little. Zenkichi added that Hansode was someone he could rely on. Medaka had already completed 2 other requests and wanted to personally step in to deal with the dog. She could not accept the fact that Zenkichi had asked for help from someone else because of his own shortcomings. Medaka then put on a dog-themed outfit that was meant to help her blend in rather than stand out. Hansode wondered why Medaka was wearing something like that. Medaka's goal was to make the target see her as the same kind of creature, which she believed was the first step in dealing with animals. Hansode was surprised by this logic, while Zenkichi commented that Medaka could be foolish precisely because she was too smart. Medaka prepared to carry out her plan, but Zenkichi suggested that she step back and let him and Hansode handle the situation instead. Medaka became clearly upset after hearing that. She wanted to prove that she would no longer be held back by her past. Zenkichi was puzzled by Medaka's sudden burst of motivation. According to Hansode, Medaka seemed to be jealous after seeing Zenkichi acting closer to her. Hansode realized that Medaka was far more human than she had initially thought, showing clumsiness, jealousy, and even having trouble with animals. Zenkichi corrected Hansode's misunderstanding by explaining that Medaka did not dislike animals at all. In fact, she genuinely loved them. Just as he said, Medaka approached the dog and tried to hug it, but the dog looked terrified and hid behind Zenkichi instead. Hansode could not understand what was really happening. Zenkichi concluded that it was not that Medaka could not handle animals, but rather that animals could not handle Medaka. Back when Medaka was in the first year of grade school, she had once been assigned to take care of the school's animals. When she tried to feed the rabbits, none of them came out of their cages. The fish also refused to swim to the surface when she gave them food. Even during a visit to the zoo, not a single animal showed itself in front of her. That experience had stayed with her ever since. Animals do not understand personality in the way humans do, but they can sense presence and extraordinary intensity. According to Zenkichi, the reason the students accepted Medaka as the student council president had nothing to do with her power, abilities, or status, but everything to do with her personality. In the end, the student council successfully completed the task of returning the Borzoi to its owner. Medaka looked gloomy because, even after everything, she still could not make such an adorable dog like her. Seeing that, Zenkichi realized once again that Medaka was truly human, someone who genuinely liked animals and could feel deeply disappointed when things did not go the way she hoped.